Hi class, my topic tied to the interlocking components of sexuality is children and survival sex. Survival sex or transactional sex involves the use of children and adolescents to provide for the sexual gratification of adults in exchange for money or property. Girls typically become involved in survival sex between the ages of 12 and 15, prior to being legally or developmentally mature enough to give informed consent. Conditions causing youth to become involved in survival sex include manipulation by pimps or gangs, child sexual abuse, and a desire to subsist coupled with a lack of alternative resources. Adolescents typically get involved in transactional sex after enticement from runaway haunts and homes, followed by a process called love bombing. Therein, perpetrators give the young person gifts and copious declarations of love and affection, which lead to a false sense of security. Showers of affection are followed by acts of methodical humiliation, violence, and dehumanization, along with threats to withdraw affection. This cycle sets victims in a state of confusion wherein they can no longer tell the difference between forced and voluntary sex. Once groomed, victims are coerced into exchanging sex for revenue. Researchers indicate young people without protective systems and who have suffered childhood physical and psychological abuse, homelessness, poverty, or separation from family of origin are most vulnerable to victimization through survival sex. Nevertheless, inequalities and disadvantages are often overlooked by society, and victims are pathologized and their behavior labeled deviant. Thoroughburn and DeHaan suggest society plays a substantial role in perpetration of the ability of adults to buy sex from children because it neglects to resist dominant ideas about gender roles, power, desirability, and female sexuality. Along these lines, patriarchal standards have imposed a culture where silence and lack of action to end transactional sex persists because of myths that men cannot control their sexual desires, so females must set moral standards. Young people involved in transactional sex often suffer from severe physical, sexual, and mental health trauma. Researchers indicate 40% will endure serious injuries and suffer from sexually transmitted diseases. Feeling powerless to break away, they may abuse drugs and alcohol. Many consider themselves insignificant and invisible and struggle to build trusting relationships. They are also prone to PTSD and Stockholm Syndrome. Ultimately, Thoroughburn and DeHaan suggest that social workers seek to confront sexual discrimination and promote societal prioritization of sexual exploitation as a social justice problem. They pose that the nature of social worker core values and goals make them favorable team members towards making a difference in the lives of youth involved in survival sex, who typically present with copious physical and emotional and spiritual needs, and who often view professionals as distrustful instead of an avenue to safety. To this end, street outreach programs have been deemed thus far most successful and effective in bridging the gap. The researchers further support targeted preventive efforts aimed at youth most vulnerable to entrapment through sexual survival sex. Thanks. Have a great day.